Welcome to the Love, Law, and Life Makeover podcast, a go-to for hope, faith, and joy in changing your life. I'm Neil Presley Cox, lawyer, speaker, and author of Hope Lines. I have an easy-to-find website, neilpresleycox.com. You can't miss it. And a nice welcome for my presenter and co-host, Kelsey Gibbs.
Hello, and a welcome back to Love, Law, and Life Makeovers. We're continuing going through Neil Presley Cox's book, Hope Lines. Oh, it's blurred out, but hey, it's there. It's there, kind of. You know what? Check it out on the website. Here we go. So we're on page 58, the section that says baby mamas and baby daddies too young to parent. I'm here with Neil Presley Cox, and we're gonna go through this chapter. I'm pretty excited about this. There's a lot of good stuff in here that seems to be like really applicable to the situations that we see nowadays. So, Neil, earlier we were talking about, the very start of it. Do you wanna kind of cover that again?
I love the Bible quote at the beginning. It says, "For you know that we dealt with each of you as a father deals with his own children, encouraging, comforting, and urging you to live lives worthy of God who calls you into his kingdom and glory." That's a very important message for this story, because just noting the name, baby mamas and baby daddies, it would be very easy for one to feel judged in this topic, and for a person talking about baby mamas and baby daddies to come across as scolding or parenting or judging or preaching. And of course, we know that when somebody comes across judgmentally, listeners shut down. Nobody wants to deal with that. So if we're going to get any kind of a message across on this topic, it's got to be encouraging and comforting. So I love that quote to start this story.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. And then the story itself, I don't know, there's legitimately people in high school that I'm like, oh my goodness, how did you know them? Wait, do you mind doing just like a quick recap on that for us?
Need to do a recap?
Of the story?
Yeah, it's just the thing, as an attorney for 30 years doing family law, I've seen this over and over again. I saw it 30 years ago, and I see it even more commonly today. And I get more calls about parenting problems than I do about anything else.
Really?
Even low-level crimes, which those are common, but most people nowadays are having a child without being married, and oftentimes people are having a child without having been in a long-term relationship. And so this story just talks about two very young people that have a baby, and like all people that are 18, 19, 20, they're kind of just feeling their way forward in life, trying to figure out what to do, and not necessarily knowing, and doing things like having a baby, and then breaking up, and trying to figure out what to do. Okay, we've had a baby, and we don't have a lot of money, and we live with our folks, and we've broken up, and well, what do we do now? And so these folks in this story just sort of fumble their way forward, and child support is moving forward, and the state gets involved in that. So they start reaching out to the father, and the young mama's getting a lot of help from her parents on parenting, and still doing a lot of things that young mamas do, going out and partying still. And her mom is got some things to say about that, and they have strong feelings about the baby daddy. And so it all just sort of comes together and culminates in a court case, and you're left wondering what's going to happen. Is this young man going to really be involved in the child's life or not? Or the grandparents, the maternal grandparents, going to be really stern about it, and maybe he'll give up, or maybe he'll be involved. But they're only marginally ready to parent, in my estimation.
Well, and this kid, in this story, his name's Victor. Like he initially was jobless, smoking pot, and that was kind of like his life was just kind of hiding from him, right? Because he already had one kid with another lady, and she was mad at him. He didn't have any rights, and he wasn't paying the $100 a month in child support or whatever it was. So it's just kind of like this is it just he's just not, it sounds like he's just not ready to have any kind of responsibility, to be honest. um and then the second he gets a job, him and his mom go over and demand that the child be, have visitation rights at their house, which in my opinion, like baby still, it sounded like the baby was still really, really young. And they were like, well, we don't, you can come here to visit the baby anytime you want, but basically in my eyes, I was perceiving, hey, you're gonna put us out by us having to go all the way there. We're having, we're gonna be worried, and we don't want to, like we don't trust you. Like, this is the mom, this is the grandparents. And I know the baby mama, her parents are, a lot more dogmatic, and they seem a lot more stable with, and so, they're trying to call the shots. And it sounded like it was the baby daddy's mom who was really trying to control things as far as like making sure he was in his child's lives and kind of put him in the court, involved with the court cases. And so it's such an interesting chapter with so many dimensions, because you have the dynamics of the grandparents, plus then you have the kids, and it seems like the shots are really being called by the parents, or the grandparents, I mean, instead of even the parents. And so it's like, and then so this mom puts her son through this whole legal system that he wants nothing to do with. They're asking him for things that he has to do a hair follicle test. He knows he can't pass it, and he can't fake it. So he's being put in a terrible position just because of his mother's ego. So I thought that was really interesting, just kind of like, if you're in a situation like this, like, and you're the parent, you can say, I am not ready for this step. I want to build a relationship with my kid on their terms, because I'm not even ready. I don't even have a job yet. Or maybe they have a job. He gets a job at Burger King, like when he's still not ready. So I love what you said there. I know, I feel like I'm skipping to the end. I was like, this is such a good start. But when you talk about like slowing down on the relationship front, it was really helpful, because I think a lot of people, like you say in here, we live in a throwaway society, but people are not throwaways. So we're just sitting there and we're not jumping into relationships or forcing something that isn't there, pretending to be ready when we're not, and actually do the work of building the building blocks of a relationship. This kid would have a much better chance, this young man, I guess is what he is, would have a much better chance to have a wholesome relationship with his baby mama and their family by doing the proper things to get to there. Right. So yeah, I don't know. I really love this story for some reason. It was just really interesting.
Yeah, no, I like what you said about building blocks, and the best thing that this young man can do is to start developing some building blocks. Demonstrate that he's not going to drive under the influence. Does he have a license? Does he have a car? Does he have a nice brand new car seat that meets the approved standards? If he does, he could send the mom a picture of that and say, I'm understanding what this involves, and I'll meet your terms for a while about visiting there, and being friendly and nice and making sure everybody is content and comfortable. And over time, I would like to develop that into, I get to take my child somewhere, and I'm going to show you that I'm going to keep working and pay some support and be supportive. And I'm going to be sober when I come over, and I'm going to drive sober, and I'm going to have that car seat, and I'm going to be polite. Those are all building blocks that this young man could do. And the young lady, she can do some of the same things in terms of building her own life up. But I think it's also important to think about it from a spiritual point of view. Um, it doesn't do one any good to beat themselves up over what has happened. If you have a baby and then there's a breakup, beating yourself up over the situation isn't going to do any good. The question is, how can we move forward? And part of moving forward for me involves taking on the belief, the position that this is where I am right now, right today, October 29, 2023. And it's not bad. Today is the day that I can move forward, that I can start doing something good. I'm not bad, even if I'm in a difficult situation. I'm a good person. I'm going to bring out those good qualities. I have a baby, and that's good too. And it's going to be good. That baby's going to be okay because I'm going to do the right things. So taking on that position and saying, I'm okay, and I'm going to get even more okay with my higher power, with God, and not judge myself for what has happened leading up to today. But I'm going to make sure that I make some changes in life so that I don't have another baby in another custody situation where maybe the court has to get involved. That to me is critical, and you can analogize it to a lot of things like a DUI. I tell people on their first DUI, you're going to be okay. I'll help you get through this. We'll be okay. The problem is going to be if you get another DUI. Are you going to make some changes now so you don't get a second DUI? Because if you do that, it's going to be a different ball game. And your problems are going to compound like compound interest. So
You
same for a baby.
you have that card? You have that one card about drunk driving?
I
You
don't
know?
have it right in front of me.
Oh gosh.
The
I
taxes
love it.
are $18, and DUI retainers for a good DUI lawyer are $2,000 to $5,000 these days, maybe more.
It's such a cool little sticker. Like you can pay $18 for a taxi, or today, that's it. You can get a taxi today for $18, or you can call me tomorrow for 2,500.
Yeah, that's right. So make a change today, but don't beat yourself up. Just be honest.
What are some things that people can do if they do find themselves in this kind of a situation where how can they for a young person who doesn't have it all together, what's some advice that you can give them to where they're able to recognize whether or not they're ready or not? Like, Victor's mom pushing him into this, going to court
Great
over.
question.
How can he recognize
Great question.
whether or not he's ready?
I think the first step in life for anything is to take stock of where we are. And that involves walking a few feet away from your smartphone and actually reflecting on where you are today. And I mean, I'm going to be 60 in 5 weeks, and I don't have it all together, and I don't have all the answers, and I still need a lot of help from other people. So the 19-year-old guy that just had a baby, he doesn't know what the future holds, and he needs help from other people who've been there, his family. There's all kinds of information out there on being a parent, on life, and finding mentors in life, people that have been there and that are actually willing to take a moment and help lift you is critical. So I think that's the first step is to kind of just take stock a little bit. And then after that, listen to your elders, listen to people in your life that are healthy. And you're probably going to need to get an attorney. And I want to talk about that for a minute because attorneys are like any other group of people on this planet. Some of them are golden, some of them are just about angels and care deeply. And unfortunately, some of them are sneaky, conniving, smooth, oily salespersons that maybe can present well and make you think that they're going to do something, but really don't. And some of them have a lot of personal problems, like every other segment of society. They're secretly using substances, or they're just getting by, or they don't answer the phone, but they'll take your money initially and won't do much. And others of them are competent and all the way on up to actually super lawyers. So you've got to be very discerning and think about what you're listening to and try to get a referral from somebody who's talked to a few lawyers. And so that you can pick a lawyer that actually does care and does do a decent job. But that's what you need to navigate this, because a parenting plan case is a very fluid situation with, as you indicated when you were describing the story, you've got two sets of grandparents, and you've got baby mama and baby daddy, and you've got the judge and what's he or she going to do, and you've got your future, and is it going to implode and go downward or upward? So a good lawyer can really help you navigate a lot of those things and phase things upward in good steps without stepping on people's toes and kind of squishing progress.
That was super helpful. Yeah, that'll hopefully really help some people to not feel so intimidated, right? Whenever things happen in their lives, right? And actually researching their lawyer to find out, okay, is this somebody that I want representing my case?
And I'm sober as a kitten, but I'm not putting my number on any kind of a screen because I got all the business I need and can handle.
Right. But yeah, Neil might be all taken up, but his book Hope Lines is on Amazon. You are able to order it there. You can get hard copies, you can get paperback copies, you can get, I think it's digital as well, isn't it? I only have the hardback.
Yes, I think there is a Kindle version.
Okay, there's a Kindle version.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pushing for that audio book version. I'm pushing for it, guys.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. But yeah, there's tons of resources at the end of every chapter as well. Neil Presley Cox also does public speaking engagements as well. If you do want to reach out for that, we will provide an email address that you can get in touch with him that way. Maybe not for law, business, but maybe if you'd like him to come and be a speaker or for any of your events. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
Yes, God bless the grandparents, because they may take a hard attitude toward the other parent, and they may frustrate people sometimes. But God bless them, because when a baby comes in and maybe their child wasn't quite ready to have a baby, it's the grandparents who are stepping up. And that's why one of the next few stories is about grandparents raising kids. I call the grandparents the rocks of stability in this society.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, until next time, you can find Neil Presley Cox on TikTok. All right.
Bless y'all.